Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob, and welcome to the Epileptic Gamer podcast. It's been a bit since I've done a next level lore episode, and I'm happy to do one again, even though you guys are voting against them. So I kind of overruled you on that decision. I'm sorry. I know you guys wanted a college football episode. However, to do that, I would need to play Madden, and I am going to wait for there to be a free trial on Madden for me to actually get a good comparison between college football and Madden and how it turned out. Because it's only fair that Madden gets its own, I guess, track record. I'm curious to see how the reviews do as well. I haven't checked yet. But that episode is coming eventually. Don't know when, but it will come eventually. But for now, we are going to do one that you guys voted against, and I am sorry. So, this is the next level lore episode, which I'm extremely excited to do, because this is on one of my favorite game series to the PlayStation, Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn was initially a PlayStation 4 game. You played as Aloy, you had to survive against the machines that were plagued the earth, and just completely, I don't know, I forget, I think you were fighting Hades in the first game. It's been a while since I played the first game. Yeah, you fought Hades. And then you found out that Hades was, in the second game, just a sub-function of someone that we would call Gaia in Forbidden West. And Gaia was the overarch of everything that we see. What we are walking on, the world we are playing in, Gaia created. And we get introduced to her and even befriend her in Forbidden West as the hologram. She is the person that made it all. Now, I bring Gaia up because she is important. Not just because she's technically the world. She is important on what I want to talk about. The Horizon Zero Dawn TV show could have done so much for the backstory of Gaia, but it could have done so much to help Horizon 3. And I'm going to call it Horizon 3 because, well, it's the third game of the series, but I can't think of a clever title for to call it, so it's being called Horizon 3. If you don't like it, sue me. Please don't. I don't have money. So, yeah, we're going with Horizon 3. But here's the big thing. The TV show had a lot of promise. It got canceled because the director was an asshat and had a big toxic workplace. Thinking Netflix was screwing up another TV show, The Witcher says hi. So, the only thing we got going for that is Arcane and Cyberpunk Blade Runners. Yeah. I mean, 2 out of 4 ain't bad. Let's take that. Let's take that win. So, then we got, don't get me wrong, I want the show to be picked up. We don't know if it was going to be animated. At least I don't know if it's going to be animated. Maybe details got leaked out. Or if it was going to be live action. Personally, I would have preferred live action. Because you could have done a lot more. There's a lot more interaction. And if HBO were to pick it up, they could throw a hell of a lot of money. I mean, that's an HBO money that you could throw at it. Give it that Last of Us treatment. And they would do very well. You could play it almost a part of a prequel. Where not only do you see the time before extinction, you see Gaia getting made. You see Sobek, which is Aloy's clone. Well, Aloy's not clone. Aloy's a clone. Okay, it's complicated. Aloy's a clone of Elizabeth Sobek, and Aloy also has a clone that she works with in Forbidden West. It's complicated, not going into detail. And you can also see how Ted Farrow, kind of got into his head, how he got into his head space of why he wanted to do the Pharaoh Plague. We saw how Hades worked in Forbidden West one time, and it was pretty damn cool. That in the sequence of events of it just wiping out that plains, it was a cool segment, and I'm pretty glad they showed, hey, here's what one sub-function can do. But that was just Hades. You have so many other sub-functions. You have 8 others. You could have shown what Apollo has done. You could have shown what Ether's done. Artemis. I have the list next to me. I can list them off, but that's going to be a lot of time, and it's going to sound weird. But the fact that you have all of this, and you had the TV show, you had the perfect outlet to fill in the time jump between 2 and 3, because you're going to need one now. Lance Reddick passed away, which means Silence is going to have to be gone in the 3rd game, unless they recast him. Or if they do what I hope they do not do, and that is contact his family and go with the AI voice, because apparently you can now do that. I believe that's part of the new voice actors strike that they agreed upon. I don't like that. I think it's just wrong. But that's something that they're going to do. I hope they don't do that. I hope they let him rest in peace. Let the Silence character die with Lance Reddick. I think he deserves that. No one is going to be able to play Silence better than him. No one can voice him better than him. And AI sure as hell ain't going to get that emotion. But you could explain and introduce that huge time gap on what happens between Forbidden West, Horizon Forbidden West, which is the 2nd game, and Horizon 3. You could use that time to explain what goes on throughout the world. You don't even need Aloy. You could go on and say, here's what's happening in this part of the world. Here's what's happening in Gaia's subsections. Hell, you could even introduce a way, and say if you do want to do Aloy, and you want to get more backstory into it, maybe she finds a way to go into Gaia and talk to the separate sub-functions. Like, she's desperate to find a way to beat Nemesis. Try to find a pattern to kill it. And when I say Nemesis, that is the main antagonist for... okay. Next up, this is why it's called Next Level Lore, folks. If you don't like this, skip ahead a few minutes. Nemesis is the main villain of the entire thing. It's going to be who we're dealing with in Horizon 3. At least I hope. And Nemesis was, like I said, part of Farzenus. They tried to do the whole, hey, let's make ourselves into computers. It didn't work. They locked that shit away. When it got out, they were pretty damn angry because, well, the former people that got locked away. They destroyed the Farzenus world. Farzenus come to Earth, etc. Shit goes down. We see Forbidden West events play out. And now Nemesis is currently coming to Earth. That's where we're left at. And we are told that it can't be stopped. That's where the game leaves at. And when you go out to the world, you could talk to your clone. I believe her name is Alpha. I could be wrong on that. That's what I'm going to call her, as Alpha. And you just say, hey, here's what's going on. Have you had any luck? And you get a few voice lines. It's nothing special. But after that, you can just go throughout the game and do your thing. But that was the perfect time for, if you wanted to go through Aloy's route, to have her find out that, oh, I can go into Gaia and talk to these subsections. I could talk to Apollo and say, hey, can I use you to do X, Y, and Z? Because maybe you can help us out. We know for a fact, every single person, every single subsection has a voice. Hades has a voice because we know Silence tortured it. Yes, that is a thing that actually happens in the game. We don't see it on screen, but we find it out. Then we find out that Minerva is just terrified because of what was going on and how she was left. Gaia has her own voice because she's the main system. Everybody has their own voice. Poseidon has his voice. Demeter has his voice. Artemis, Eleuthia, Apollo, Hades, Ether, Hephaestus, Minerva, you name it, they have their own voice. Give these sub-functions a reason to live. Give them a reason to be there and not just some plot points. Because this TV show is the perfect way of saying, here's how we can do it. Here's how we introduce the voice actors. You had the perfect outlet. That's why this TV show, in my opinion, was so critical. You had the perfect layup. You had a gunshot, and it was literally 1 inch away from the bullseye. And you blew it. And it sucks, because now we can't find out what happens in the past. Now we couldn't find out what happens in the future. All we know now is that we are facing this threat, and we have Gaia that's going to be working with us. That's it. We don't know. And only very few people know that basically the end of the world is coming. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Do I think that they could go and find a different developer? Like a different showrunner, someone like that? Absolutely. And I think that's what I hope they do. And honestly, they should. I think Amazon did great with Fallout. So they could go with Fallout. They can get on the Fallout route. Amazon can pick it up. But they're busy with the Fallout second season. Netflix, well, Netflix wasn't a candidate. So you can't do Netflix. Peacock just did a John Wick series. So Peacock can be a runner-up. I don't know if Hulu has done anything recently, so let's give Hulu a shot. Who knows? And as always, we know HBO is busy with Last of Us, but whenever they're in between seasons, let's give them a call. There's a lot of streaming services out there that would probably be willing to do this. I mean, after all, money talks. And if you're going to talk about PlayStation money, I'd be willing to listen. So, you have the show that, I mean, not a whole lot of people were excited for it. At the same time, people were also excited for it, if you get what I mean. And that sounds stupid. And it doesn't make sense. But I personally was looking forward to seeing who they were going to cast as Aloy. Because there were countless fan just castings, because as it did with Aloy and Joel and The Last of Us. It's just what people do. For example, Life is Strange almost got a TV show before it got shut down. That was rumored to get a TV show. Sly Cooper. Let's not talk about the movie, but that almost got a movie. That's all I'm going to mention. If you want to look up why it got scrapped, look up the trailer. Just type in Sly Cooper movie. I'm only going to talk about that. But you have so much possibility with the Horizon Zero Dawn TV show. And it is a shame that it's going to be wasted on what could have been. Of what if. Because you could have seen Sobek maybe come up with the idea of, hey, here, if this doesn't work out, if I end up dying, I know for a fact that I am going to be coming back through Gaia. That is a pretty cool thing to see. It would be pretty cool to see in general. And each episode could be a different piece of the timeline. Or, if we wanted to do it in a specific way, we know Netflix, like its 9 episodes, for example. Arcane, 3 acts, 9 episodes. You could have done absolutely a prequel, and each episode is focused on a different subsection. Episode 1 could have been Minerva, episode 2 could be Hades, episode 3 Apollo, and act 2 could be Poseidon, Demeter, Artemis, and so on. You could have had the perfect section And then the episode 10, if you were to do one, could simply just be called Gaia. You had the perfect way of setting everything up. And it would have been such a cool, like a cool concept. Like even that whole 9 episodes, plus the one extra just calling it Gaia. It sounds like such a great idea. And the fact that you're leading up, if you use every single subsection before you get to the Gaia episode, kind of plays into the fact of you need every subsection or subfunction, whatever you want to call it. I believe they're called subfunctions in the game, to get Gaia's full form. And when we see Gaia in episode 10, we could see her not just interacting with Sobek, we could see her interacting with Aloy as well. You could have so much done with that. And if you were to do episode 9 as Hades, you could have Hades wipe out the Earth, have a post-credits scene that introduces Aloy, and episode 10 is when Gaia meets Aloy. And that's how you pick up, and that's how you set up the third game. You could have done it in so many ways. You could have done it just like that, and people would have been happy. It would have been a cool theory. It's like, well, okay, now that we have the reason why, like we have all these people that have all these voices, you could have explained, well, they have voices. Why? It makes no sense. Why would a subfunction have a voice? It's just a line of code. You had the ability to explain it here. And you could have used the girl herself that invented it, Sobek. Because you cannot explain it in a game. There's not that much. It costs millions of dollars to make a video game. And with it being $70 now, it's probably a lot more than I think. So, the fact that you had all of this ability, all of the possibilities, and hell, I'm sure you probably had a lot of actors lined up. You could have gone the extra mile. But you didn't. You blew it. Someone needs to pick up this TV show. Someone needs, even if you're not going to set up the final game, give some background into why we need to be interested in Gaia. Why do I need to be interested in these subfunctions? Because that is going to be crucial for the final game. You want to know what it means for the final game? I think this TV show was supposed to set up the final game. And now they're scrambling. You haven't heard much from Horizon 3. All we know is that it's coming. Because Nemesis set it up. Like, the end of Forbidden West, they did the DLC. They said, hey, we're going to need allies. The world is going to be ending. You could be here, or you could be with us. And I think the girl you talk to in the DLC says, I'm going to stay here, but you'll see me over there soon. So you can definitely tell they're setting up Horizon 3. After that, we hear nothing. So that makes you wonder, was Horizon Zero Dawn the TV show? Was that going to set up how they were going to do Horizon 3? And in my opinion, that had to be a resounding yes. We heard nothing from the Horizon series until Netflix's show got canceled. Which, it gets definitely weird that they're doing the TV show in between Forbidden West and, well, Horizon 3. I don't know what the studio, I don't know what they're up to exactly. I wish I could pull it up, but I don't feel like typing because it's going to pick up it'll pick up on the microphone. But I don't know what the studio is working on. Hopefully they are working on Horizon 3. But I don't expect a trailer within the next 2 years. I mean, if you think about it, you got Grand Theft Auto coming out, and that's going to be dominating the game industry. I mean, look at Elden Ring. That came out and had the world in a chokehold for 6 years. 6 years. 6 months. I see Horizon 3 realistically coming out by 2027, 2028. And a trailer being late 2025, early 2026. That's the realistic timeline I can legitimately see happening. That's a sad fact of life. And the trailer is not going to give you a date. It's not going to give you a year. It's going to be one of those shows where they say coming soon. And you're just going to be seeing Aloy running from something. And we're just going to assume it's Nemesis. But that's why I think this Horizon Zero Dawn TV show was going to be critical. The fact that they had something planned tells me that they definitely wanted this to be something lore-wise. Whether if they were going to expand on Gaia, whether they were going to expand on Sobek and Pharaoh, or just introduce a new character entirely. We really won't know. Which is a shame, because I want to know. Like, at least tell us what the plot was. And if you can't do that, make it into a comic series. Because that's what Life is Strange is doing with their stories. They're expanding their world. They're doing novels and TV shows. If you want them to do this, and in my opinion, this would actually be a fun way of doing it, you could easily have like a lore book that Five Nights at Freddy's does, where it's just called, you just put Horizon Forbidden West, the ultimate guide to Gaia. And it lists off the sub-functions, the personalities, and inside you have notes written down by Silence, by Aloy, by Alpha, by everybody. And it drops hints of what the TV show could have brought to the table. Hell, you could even drop quotes that hint that Aloy has eventually did, and hopefully will find out that she can talk out to the different sub-functions. Because they have a voice. Give them a reason to talk. There's no reason that I can't see Gaia saying, no, you cannot talk to the sub-function. Like, you're built up with all 9 of them. And they all have a voice. And this is a fictional world. I am pretty sure the developers can find a way to get around that little hurdle. That, or like, if you need to talk to her, Gaia shuts down for a day. You don't get access to her. There's a lot of things that you can do. It's like, oh, well, I need access to Hades to help me take down this little area. Like, or to help me get a little power from my staff. Or I need access to Ether to help me figure out where to go here. Or I need access to Minerva to help me figure out how to attack better. And how to strike where. Every time you do this, that makes Gaia completely shut down. Because you took out one of her sub-functions. Or not just shut down, maybe you lose part of her. Like, maybe part of the mini-map is gone. Like, you can do so much of this. Like, if you're, like, for example, if you're blinking Gaia up to the little headpiece that you have in your ear, I think, yeah. Just remember the name. It's called the Focus. I was blinking on it. I just remembered it. If you link Gaia up to Focus in Horizon 3, you could easily run the route that if you use one of the sub-functions and talk to it, Gaia will tell you, hey, by you doing this, you can't access this for a set amount of time. You're going to be losing her. Like, if I were to talk to Poseidon, I can't access Poseidon because it has to regenerate into its mainframe. That's the way it worked in Forbidden West. So, it could be an interesting mechanic. Could it be annoying? Yeah. But That's why you could add the TV show. You could explain that Sobek, for example, could drop the line, well, what happens if one sub-function gets removed and you want to talk to the voice? The whole system gets shut down. Bang, you just solve the issue. That way the game doesn't have to establish it. You can watch a TV show, have a pretty damn fun TV show, because in my opinion, I kind of like the 10-episode layout. Each episode is focused on a said sub-function. That final episode is focused on Gaia herself. Perfect way to lay it out. You don't need to worry about episode titles. You got them already. All the sub-functions and Gaia herself. It is perfect. They had the perfect recipe. I cannot talk. I'm sorry. I was really psyched up about that. They had the perfect recipe to get a great Netflix show out. Not as good as Arcane. Not as good as Last of Us. I would say early Witcher. Season 1 Witcher. You could get that type of quality of a show out. But they didn't do it. Because the director was a toxic son of a bitch and took it away from us. Do I think down the line, could we see it? After even Horizon 3? Absolutely. I think you 100% could see it. I do think, however, if you wanted to make some money, and I'm sure they do, I would do a lore book. Like, Life is Strange has one where it's Walking the Blackwall Academy. A lot of people do it. Five Nights at Freddy's has, here's the security guard's guide. Aloy you could put out an entire book based on notes centered around Gaia, the sub-functions, her notes on who she'd trust, who doesn't she trust, how Nemesis, what they learned in the previous times since we haven't seen them. A lot of stuff that you could do is a missed opportunity in the TV show. But in a book, the possibilities are endless. And that's where they gotta go. You could take the book route, and you don't need a voice actor, you just need someone to write it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's gonna be fun if they do that. I'll read it, because I love that world. The TV show is critical. Because if I wanted to use, hell, let's do it. I'll use the term for it. The Horizon Zero Dawn TV show could have been the perfect sub-function to what the entire Horizon series is. Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn, the DLCs, and TV show were all the sub-functions for just the Horizon series in general. That is the perfect way of saying it. And the fact that they haven't gone with that marketing strategy yet shocks me. Kind of missed opportunity. Sony, if you want to take it, I will not be mad. But I did come up with that first. You can quote me on that. I just said a word that I'm going to have to edit out. That's going to be fun. But hopefully they find a way to mark this right in Horizon 3. It's going to be great. But without the TV show, they're going to have to find a way to tie up some loose ends. Tie up some plot points, as you will. And that's going to be difficult. Especially because, there's a lot. There's a lot of loose ends. Who made this? Who made that? You name it, it's probably a loose end. Where is we know Silence joins us, but Lance Reddick died. Where is he gonna go? We're not gonna have him in the base. So who's gonna play him? Are we gonna do the same model with a different actor? I mean, you could. But I'd rather have him, killed off Call me selfish, but I'd rather have him killed off than him being around in general. Just because the way I think Lance Reddick handled the character, I think he did it perfectly. So, do I think Horizon was essential? Yes. I think the TV show was essential for what was going to happen. I'm sure they're going to be fine. They're always fine. We're not going to see Horizon 3 for 3 or 4 years, at least. I'd say no longer than 5. But they better hurry up, because Zero Dawn's TV show could have made you a shitload of money. Netflix could have gone, they could have gone wild with the lore. There is so much lore. And I'm curious to see what the plot was, too. I bet you it probably was a prequel, so we'd understand what happened beforehand. But I'm definitely curious to see what the plot was. Or maybe if they would have gone down the arcane route, like which they always did, which shows how Vi and Caitlyn came up to be, how Jinx came to be, how Echo came to be. They could have just made it like how they established their characters. Which is kind of troubling, because if you do that, it would have to retcon the entire not TV show, the video game from the very first one. So I'm curious to see what the plot was, if they ever announced what the plot was. It's definitely going to be something interesting to see. Other than that, I feel like this was a missed opportunity on Netflix. Is that you should have, like, if one director didn't work out, find someone else. Find a different showrunner. Because this could have been something perfect. You had all the elements for a great show. And you have Arcane coming out this November, which, for those of you wondering, it is now August 18th. So, you have Arcane coming out in November 2024. It's now August of 2024. So, even if it was going to fail, you have that coming out, which is going to set you up for life for the next year and a half. People are going to join Netflix just to watch Arcane. People would likely have joined Netflix not to watch Horizon, but to see what it's all about. You know, it's like let's see what the hype is. People did that with HBO and The Last of Us. So, do I think Horizon was going to be worth it? I don't know. I think the TV show was probably essential for, I think, at least the lore. I think it would probably be essential for gamers to understand it better. But do I think, was it essential entirely? No. But would it have been nice to have? Yes. Because you could have gone so much more in depth with each of these sub-functions. And why they have the voices that they have. And how they do what they do. And they do explain what they do. But it's just like a kind of a one-off line. Like they say, oh, Poseidon, they make water. Hades, he destroys everything. That kind of stuff. It's like, okay, cool, we understand that. And we get to see what Hades does in the game. If I didn't say that before, I said this in a previous take. There's a section in the game that you get to see what Hades does. Like, you press the button, and bang, that subsection that they have in the lab of Hades activates. It's like a little, I think it was the preview center of what it was. And it just decimates the place. And it shocks Aloy and her friend. So, the fact that you drop that, I see Horizon 3 being that perfect way of using the TV show of, like, hey, we have all this lore now thanks to the TV show, which means we have a better game. Why couldn't we do that? Like, come on. Make it make sense. Like, if don't cancel the TV show entirely. Put it on hold. Maybe say, oh, let's suspend the TV show. See if we can find a different director. If you can't, that's when you cancel it. And who knows, maybe that's what the problem was, and that's why it did get canceled. Maybe the problem was that they did fire the director a while ago. It's just coming up now, and they didn't release the fact that they didn't find someone else. We'll never know. It's Hollywood. We'll probably never know. Thank you, Netflix. But the case is the fact that you had the opportunity, you had the shot, you missed. You know what's going to happen, though? I'm going to release this episode, and a week later, they're going to announce the fucking TV show. That's just always my luck. But that is all for this episode. I think Horizon Zero Dawn was definitely, the TV show was definitely a missed opportunity. It's giving you one of those things of, what if it happened? Do I think Horizon 3 is going to be great? Hell yeah. Screw what the haters say about Aloy's face model. Who cares? Aloy's a badass. And if you don't like her, then you don't play her game. Simple. I mean, that's just the way it is. People are always going to be unhappy. That's how it is. So, yep, that is all, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Epileptic Gamer podcast. Hopefully I can edit out that word that I said earlier that I did not mean to say. If not, I will be definitely putting on an explicit warning for this episode, just to be safe. But you guys have a great August and good September, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.